Hey, everybody, it is Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Hump Day edition of Today in Sports Betting. This is going to be part two, everybody, as we take a look at the NBA. Scott, we already take a look at the underwhelming college basketball card. And anything to get more excited about on the NBA card? It's the Battle of New York. I know you're excited about that coming from Long Island. And Brooklyn is your team, right, buddy?
Yeah, I know that Brooklyn beat the Nuggets yesterday. I said on the video I like the over. That game went over because neither team can play defense at all. I think Brooklyn in that game shot 60.8% from the floor. In the entire game, they shot over 60% from the floor.
Denver, not a lot of defense.
No, they lost Jeremy Grant. Nobody can guard anybody.
No, that's the way it was in the bubble last year too.
Yeah, and that was with Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
So it got even worse.
Well, wasn't he hurt for a lot for most of like about half the series? Then he came back and they started playing a little bit of defense.
I remember that being Gary Harris.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, my bad. All right, so interesting game here. Scott got a couple of injuries that are going to not really injuries. You got a couple guys that are going to be out. Kyrie Irving is going to be out once again. And what happened to your boy there, Scott?
You want me to try to dive into the mind of Kyrie Irving?
Did he sail off the edge of the flat earth? What happened?
Apparently he's been busy on the flat dance floor for the past weekend or so because he just went AWOL. He didn't show up, kind of like a Derrick Rose on the Knicks fiasco where he just didn't bother and nobody knew what was going on. Truth is, I thought it was a political thing just by speculation. I just thought it was because of what happened in the Capitol. So I thought that Kyrie's been whether you agree with him or not, he's been a vocal guy when it comes to some of this stuff. I thought that he was just making a statement. And it turns out, his father had a birthday party, and he was dancing with his sister on the dance floor, and apparently he's just been chilling. So
he was making a statement. The statement was, I like to party with my family and dance.
Yeah, now I don't know if he just doesn't want to play because of whatever's going on, or Kyrie just likes to be a pain in the ass. But either way, he won't be playing. The Nets don't know when he's going to return. We'll see what happens there. But truth is, even without Kyrie, Nets have been pretty good. I know that the Nets lost to Oklahoma City in a pretty embarrassing game. But other than that, though, Nets have looked pretty sharp lately.
Yeah, they really have. And we've got some conflicting injury news about the Knicks rather.
Well, that's about a bench player, but yeah.
Right. Well, I've got Obi Toppin out, and you have him as
questionable
possibility to make his return tonight. So, so there we go. This game is currently sits at the visiting Nets -6, 219.5 is your total there for the NBA. You like your boys here, man, even without Kyrie?
The truth is, I know the Nets played yesterday. I'm not going to try to sound biased. I think I have to. I think it's still really, really funny how the Knicks earlier in the season, of course, they were 5-3, and you saw New York City preparing the title parade for the Knicks at 5-3. And then Austin Rivers, I mentioned how I like the Knicks against Utah, and Austin Rivers went nuts. I forgot what he had in the fourth quarter, like 15 points or something.
Right.
So after they won that game, they interviewed Austin Rivers, the press. And Rivers said, I've been on some bad teams. This is not one of them. Since then.
What happened? What happened since then, Scott?
Since then, 0-3, each lost by at least 12 points.
Failed to break 90 in the 3 games since then.
So, Austin Rivers, well, if you follow Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter, that might be one that's developing because you can't say that and then lose by double digits to the likes of Oklahoma City and Charlotte. You lost by 21 to Charlotte? Come on, man.
Yeah, they had a nice run there. They had 3 straight wins when they were an underdog of at least 7 points. Took care of business against Indiana on the road, Atlanta on the road, and then, like I said, beat Utah by 12. And then Austin Rivers decided to get involved and let everybody know how good this team was, and they haven't been able to score 90 since then.
Now, I know some people might be saying, well, the comments had nothing to do with it, and I agree that it probably didn't. But anytime you're the Knicks, you kind of have a Thunder type of, I'd say, vibe with you now where people just don't even circle you on the calendar at all. They just go, oh, who cares? We'll kill this team. And I think that's what happened earlier in the year. People just thought the Knicks were going to be terrible, and it's just like, oh, wait, the Knicks randomly snuck up on a team and won.
Yeah.
And then people just realize, Austin Rivers goes, oh, no, you got to keep an eye on us. You sure you want some of these other teams to keep an eye on you? You sure that's a good idea for you? Do you think that has anything to do with anything?
And again, they didn't exactly run the gauntlet there, these last 3 losses, Oak City, Denver, and Charlotte.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just, I'm assuming you agree that it doesn't exactly apply because the Knicks, of course, were overachieving. But anytime you can embrace the underdog role and then you announce publicly, oh, we're not underdogs, team's just going to look at you and go, sure, I guess we have to try against you for a full 48 and you're going to get destroyed.
You know what? Get through January before you start.
You think that his comments had any impact? I don't think it did, but there is maybe a chance that some teams were just overlooking the Knicks and they just went, there's some hype on this team. Let's actually see what happens. Oh, this team's actually bad.
Yeah, they suck. The Nets, on the other hand, kind of off to a
mediocre,
choppy start. They've basically been taking care of business against the teams they should have. They've got some bad losses, Scott. They've got a loss to 18-point loss to Atlanta, loss to Washington, which I don't think anybody does, and a 13-point loss to OKC. That's probably stands out as the sore thumb on the season. Who do you like? Who do you like in this one?
I got to look at the Nets. It's the end of the day. The Knicks can't score. Yeah. The Nets offensively, very, very talented. Defensively, this team can't guard anybody. It's the main reason why I think this team has some problems when it comes to being a serious title contender. Because if you look at the Nets, even though they're averaging 118.8 points per game, defensively, I mean, this team's just bad. There's really no other way to put it. I mean, they can't stop anybody. And I think that even though the Nets' defense is bad, I think the Knicks are a perfect matchup for the Nets because the Knicks can't score.
Yeah, they'll be good. That's a team that's good for what ails your bad defense right there.
Correct. So looking at this matchup here, truth is, looking at this matchup here, I kind of like the under as well because you have the Nets on the second night of a back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Nets might be a little bit fatigued there. The Knicks can't score, and I will give the Knicks props. They do play pretty good defense as a whole. So I think that you might be looking at a game where the Knicks can't shoot again. The Knicks defense holds the Nets' tired legs to some problems in the second half. I know the total might seem low for a Nets game at 219 and a half or so. It wouldn't surprise me if this game goes under. So I'll lean under and I'll lean Nets.
Yeah, it's a weird clash. The last 8 games for the Knicks have gone under, and the last 6 games for the Nets have gone over.
Well, I mentioned the Nets being terrible on defense, but I do think. Do you buy into the tired legs narrative, or?
Yeah, although I probably more later in the season, and I'm a lot more. I'm a lot more interested if there's travels, and they are playing back to back, but there's no travel involved since they played at home last night, and then they play in Brooklyn tonight at the Barclays. So, yeah, probably I'll give it a little bit of a nod, but not as much as I normally would.
I think tired legs play a factor depending on what the pace is of the previous game.
Yeah, I would agree with that also.
I think that the Nets playing the Nuggets and both those teams getting into the, a high scoring matchup there where both ended up, going up and down 238 points.
Right.
I do think tired legs mean more than playing a slow-paced team like Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I think you'd agree with that.
Oh yeah, no question. It definitely is a style of play, and that's if you're gonna have a team to be the front end of your back-to-back, you could do better than Denver.
Yeah. So I know that the Nets have been struggling 6-6 overall. I know the Knicks had the day off, so they're the more rested team. Knicks should be motivated for this game because it's an in-state rival, but. Based on the last 3 games, can you really take I can't take the Knicks.
I can't. I can't do it. I can't put money on a team that hasn't broken 90 in 3 games. That's just
in today's NBA.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about today, Scott.
That's what I'm saying. We're not talking about the Pistons back in 2004.
No, and we're not. Not at all. So yeah, I would. I don't love this game. I'll probably watch it. It'll be entertaining to watch the game. As far as a play goes, I've got to lean Nets. And again, I don't want to get involved with that total. You've got 2 trends that are clashing.
I'm just leaning under based on the
I
spot.
would lean under if gun to my head, 219.5. I think that's probably a little bit high, but with the Nets defense as bad as it is, the Knicks could break through for 95, even 98. So I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll lean under. I'll lean under with you, and I don't. I have no desire to back the Knicks +6. So.
Mm.
All right, moving on, Scott, to a game that will probably be a little bit different. It's the New Orleans Pelicans and the Clippers. That's going to be the late game there. Clippers 7.5-point favorites, 218 is the total in that one. Who you got?
Well, when you say it's going to be a little bit different, my question would be, is it really, though? Because you're looking at these two teams. I've said it earlier this year when we've done these joint videos before. I believe it was I can't even remember what game it was for New Orleans. I just said outright, I think this New Orleans team isn't good. It was against Charlotte in their last game when they ended up losing outright at 7.5. I said they don't deserve to be 8-point favorites to anybody. They lost outright. New Orleans isn't good. And if you watch them play, I know they got Van Gundy, who a lot of people know of, but might not necessarily respect as an in-game basketball coach. I don't think he's that great of an in-game basketball coach, but of course he's been around for an eternity. But look at the Pelicans here. You got Zion, you got Ingram, and that's your main two guys. I don't think they can coexist with each other, especially since Zion can't shoot, so he kind of ruins Ingram's spacing. But other than that, though, you look at this Pelicans team, this team just isn't very good.
No, they need to get Zion some more help. And I'm not sure. And I'm not sure he's turned into the player they thought he was going to either. Are you disappointed in Zion so far, Scott?
I think it kind of have to be. I think that Zion's been, don't get me wrong, he's been a good player, but the expectations were so unfairly high that you just look at how he plays this season, you say, I kind of want more. And even though offensively, he's shooting 55.7% from the floor, and he has 21.9 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, which, don't get me wrong, are good numbers.
Right.
But he's averaging 0.4 blocks per game.
Yeah.
Like, he was actually a decent defender last year.
I think they expected him to be on the in the MVP conversation at least.
I don't know about now, but maybe like a year or two from now.
Well, I was thinking, like top 10 voting for MVP.
People expected him to come into the league and look like Barkley, and I just don't think that's what's happened. Of course, Barkley is a generational player and, one of the greatest players of all time. But Zion, I think, is good, but I don't think he's the franchise shifter that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. I think you'd agree with that.
So far, that's absolutely accurate. So,
but look at the roster, though. You have Zion and Ingram. Ingram can shoot. So I'll give Ingram props because he can shoot the three ball. Zion can't. Lonzo can't. Bledsoe can't. Adams can't. That's their top 5 scorers.
Yeah.
Only one of them can shoot.
Yeah, that's a problem because you would think with that lineup they'd at least play better defense. And
they were, and then over the last 2 weeks, like they flipped back to their old format and they started giving up a bunch of points again. But even J.J. Redick, who's normally a money 3-point shooter, he's shooting 29.5% from 3. You have him, who's been awful this year, but I don't really know what's up with Redick. Josh Hart and Ingram, those are your shooters on the entire roster. You're not going to win in today's NBA if you can't shoot the long ball.
Right. Well, and of course, now you look at these Clippers. That's a team that's been struggling lately. They've failed to cover 3 of their last 4, and they've had some. And it's against some dreadful teams, losing outright to San Antonio, losing outright to Golden State, scraping by Chicago, giving up.
San Antonio, I'll give a pass to because I'm pretty sure that Paul George did not play in that game.
Okay.
So I'll give a little bit of a pass there. But the 2 Golden State games, that second one, they were up, what was it, like 19? And they gave up like a 27-point run in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, they end up losing by 10 as a 6.5-point favorite there.
And then barely beat Chicago. Chicago's actually looked decent over the last couple weeks there. Still not a great performance, but, won the game.
Maybe they should just come out and announce how they're not an underdog anymore. That'll help the Bulls.
Maybe. I'm saying Bulls. I thought the Bulls were the worst team in the league after 3 games. That team's actually looked competitive over the last couple of weeks. But
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the teams that we can, usually count on just to be dreadful. The Detroit and the Bulls have been, I wouldn't say good, but they've had some performances that have surprised people.
Atlanta's usually in the bottom, but Atlanta's decent. Minnesota's still terrible.
Atlanta's playing a little better defense. I think that's what's the weird thing about Atlanta though is they're not scoring.
They were earlier in the year, not anymore.
Yeah, they've really hit a wall. And Trae Young's making less than 2 3-pointers a game.
But if you're looking at just some of the recent teams that are bottom feeders, you still have the Pistons and you still have the Timberwolves. Some of these teams are just always at the bottom.
The Pistons have shown signs. They've been better. They've bit me a couple times.
What are the Pistons, like 2-8?
Yeah, but I think they've been competitive.
They've covered some spreads. It's just some of these teams just never seem to actually improve.
Right. Well, a lot of things. What I look at value in the market. Not necessarily are they winning games, but just how they're valued in the market. So, all right, for this one, who you got?
I think. How's New Orleans supposed to win? Lonzo's out. I don't know how they're supposed to win. That was sarcasm because you know what we both think about Lonzo Ball. But looking at this matchup, I know Bledsoe's questionable with an eye injury. Adams and Redick are probable. Lonzo's officially out with a knee injury. Truth is, the money has come in on the under. It's gone from 220 to 218. I don't get it. I like the over here. I don't really know why I would take the under. New Orleans, after being full unders for their first 5 games, 4-0 to the over in its last 4.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto ended up at 236. Indiana, 234. Oklahoma City, which plays at one of the slowest paces in the league, 221. And then played against Charlotte, 228. These games are flying over.
Yeah, they're not even getting close
look at
to
the
that
Clippers,
number.
And don't get me wrong, the Golden State games were low scoring, but played Chicago, totals 220.5, game lands 257. I got to take the over.
That's the game. That's the game that really, if I'm a Clippers fan, that game troubles me.
New Orleans might give up 125 points in this game because they can't guard anybody right now. So I got to take the over. I think you'd agree with that.
I think that's the play. Anytime you've got a total in the teens, you've got to look at it. You've got to look why it is, and you've got to see if it's perceived value or if it's actually value. And I think this is perceived.
Don't you think Lonzo helps out? Lonzo being out also helps out the over because even though offensively he's not very good, he's also a decent on-ball defender.
Yeah.
So you lose that. Bledsoe has an eye injury. He was a first-team all-defense guy. If both of them are out, or even if Bledsoe gets limited minutes or something like that, on the perimeter they might get torched.
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
So I like the over.
Yeah, I think that's the play in this one. Yeah, you got a feeling on the side?
I'd lean Clippers because there's no way I'm touching the Pelicans, but I'm not touching the Clippers either. This team hasn't played well, but the Pelicans. I watched them play briefly earlier this year. I believe it was against Phoenix. I think this team's just – I watched them against Miami on Christmas. This team's just not very good. And I'm willing to call it out. I'm going to call them out on it. I don't think that the Pelicans are a playoff team.
All right, very good. They're certainly not yet as they sit at 3-6 on the season. And no end in sight as they are in the middle of starting a
Pelicans are 4-5.
I'm sorry. You're right. 4-5. My bad.
Still losing record, but 4.
And starting a 6-game road swing here to the West Coast. So
yeah, imagine going into a 6-game road trip on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Not good at all, my friend. All right, so there you go. As always, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for more information on these or any other games, don't forget to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com, the number 1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. And, of course, we appreciate you listening. If you haven't done so already, we'd appreciate it if you'd like our video and subscribe to our channel. Drop your picks in the comment section. Let us know what you guys are on today. Any final thoughts on this NBA card? Anything else stand out for you, Scott?
You should take a screenshot of the Minnesota game because Minnesota's favored by 2.5. That might not happen for a while because Minnesota's not very good. But looking at some of these matchups here, I don't really see much. I think I'd have to look into Milwaukee. Milwaukee's played Detroit twice, won by double digits both times. Milwaukee kills Detroit every time they play. You know Giannis is going to do whatever he wants tonight. Detroit never can guard him. I know money's coming on Detroit. I think you'd agree with me there. It just the Bucks are just. I know I'm not a big fan of the Bucks this year in terms of being a serious contender. Milwaukee kills Detroit every time they play.
Kind of own them. Kind of own the Pistons.
So I'm assuming you agree in 10.5 there.
That seems a little strong, but yeah.
Just looking at the card, I'm not going to play it, but if you wanted some action there, taking a team that usually dominates one of the worst teams in the league is definitely not a bad way to spend your money.
True. Absolutely true. All right, my friend. Well, that's going to do it for our NBA show today. Appreciate everybody checking us out as always. Yeah. So that's as you know, if you're looking for info, you know the spot, Winners and Whiners. It is a very, very good site, not just for basketball, but for got some hockey starting tonight, Scott.
Yeah, you got some hockey games tonight. I know the Islanders don't play, but a couple games there in the rink. So if you're looking for something else to watch, college basketball or NBA not doing it for you, sure, NBC Sports is going to have some hockey games on, so go nuts.
All right, there you go. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, appreciate you watching today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money. Back of the window, you guys have a great day. Good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.